Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, where I cover vampires, werewolves, and other supernatural creatures. I recently put up a poll of what movie you guys wanted me to cover, and the winner was Lost Boys. My subscribers have great taste. Second place was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I'm definitely going to cover that next. I don't know about you guys, but that movie's always been a classic to me. But that's for another time. Today, we're looking at The Lost Boys, one of my favorite movies of all time. So many memorable scenes and songs. It's a pretty fitting movie to do after just covering Near Dark. Almost every time someone talks about The Lost Boys, Near Dark comes up and vice versa, because they came out the same year. The Lost Boys came out in 1987 and featured a large cast. It's about a single mother and her two sons that move to Santa Carla. Before long, they find out this town has a dark secret, and they get mixed up with a group of vampires. The Lost Boys always reminded me of the Goonies mixed with a vampire movie. Of course, this movie stars Corey Feldman, who has moved on to other forms of entertainment. Okay, let's not bring that up again. In this video, we're going to take a look at the vampires of Santa Carla, Michael's descent into their world, abilities, weaknesses, and more. Before we get into the Lost Boys, this video is sponsored by Raycon. I've been using my new Raycon earbuds every day and really enjoying them. They have amazing audio quality at half the price of other premium brands. I've been bringing my Raycons with me everywhere, even on my motorcycle rides. With 8 hours of playtime and 32-hour battery life, I don't have to worry about them dying on me either. Raycon's optimized gel tips are designed to fit comfortably in your ears and actually stay there, whether you're working out or just lounging at home. One of my favorite features of Raycon is the different tap functions. By just tapping your earbud, you can do things like skip song, pause your music, answer calls, and more. I also really enjoyed the noise isolation because it helps me focus while I'm editing or cut out the wind while I'm riding. Awareness mode is useful too. That allows you to tap your headphones and be able to hear people talk without taking them out of your ears. Raycon has honestly been a great addition to my everyday life. If you're interested in getting a pair for yourself, click the link in the description below to get 20% off your Raycon purchase plus free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping. Click the link in the description below or go to buyraycon.com/Lollins. If you've been wanting to try Raycon, now is the time. Thanks so much to Raycon for sponsoring the video. The movie begins with a group of teenagers giving some people a hard time on an amusement ride. Walking into the ride like they own the place, almost starting a fight with some guy over his girlfriend. That is until a security guard catches them and tells them, "I thought I told you to stay off the boardwalk." It sounds like they've been a problem before. They left without issue, but give the man a sinister look. That night, the security guard is walking to his car and gets attacked. Something we can't see flies down at him, rips the door off his car, and carries him away. The next scene is our main characters arriving in Santa Carla. A single mother, Lucy, with her two kids, Sam and Michael. They are moving in with their grandfather due to the recent divorce. These shots of the town and the people make the town look like a great place to live. But as the movie goes on, more and more things are revealed, showing us this town isn't quite what it seems. When driving into Santa Carla, they see the large sign with the name of the town. On the front, the artwork is really nice and looks welcoming. Then they drive by, and on the back it's covered with graffiti that has giant letters that say, "Murder Capital."
Now, I think you're really gonna like living in Santa Carla.
They arrive at the house, and Sam is only worried about the fact that there's no TV. Michael is more curious about the sign, and asks his grandfather, "Is it true that Santa Carla is the murder capital of the world?" His grandpa replies, "Well, there's some bad elements around here." What does he mean, like element 115? That night, Sam and Michael attend some kind of concert at the beach. I just used this joke in my last video, but he looks like a jazz musician mixed with a WWE wrestler. This guy's look is all over the place. Anyway, this concert is where Michael meets his love interest, Star. Their mother, Lucy, goes to the local video store to get a job. While there, she meets the owner, Max. The two are talking when the kids from the beginning of the movie enter the store. Max tells them, "I thought I told you not to come in here anymore." He gives them a stern look, and they leave. Seems like nobody in town likes these guys. While Lucy is applying for a job, Sam finds a comic book store. While inside, he meets the Frog brothers, Edgar and Alan.
Got a problem, guys? Just scoping your civilian wardrobe.
They joke about how Sam is dressed and tell him if he's looking for the frozen yogurt bar, it's not here. However, Sam impresses them with his knowledge of Superman. They decide he's alright, and one of the brothers hands him a vampire comic book, which Sam replies, "I don't like horror comics." Edgar says, "You might like this one." could save your life. Sam later returns to the comic book store and Alan asks him if he's noticed anything weird about Santa Carla yet. The Frog Brothers explain that they are fighters for truth, justice, and the American way. Working in their parents' comic book store is just a front for what they really do: hunt vampires. Their parents own the comic book store, but they're mostly just passed out, and the brothers are left to do whatever they want.
Hey man, read this.
Edgar tries to give Sam another vampire comic. He tries to say no, reminding them that he doesn't like horror comics, but he tells Sam to think of it more as a survival manual. Their number is on the back, but pray you don't have to call. I like that this movie basically has two plots going on at the same time. Sam is meeting the Frog Brothers and being introduced to vampires that way. Meanwhile, Michael is falling in love with Star, and that's how he will be introduced to the vampires. The grandfather shows off his classic car and Sam is very excited. They're about to go for a drive. His grandfather says, "Let's go to town," but then suddenly shuts the car off and says, "This is as close to town as I like to get." It seems like at least some people that live in Santa Carla are aware that something strange is going on with this town. His grandpa of all people definitely knows more than he's letting on. Multiple times throughout the movie, we see missing people posters all over town. We even see someone putting up a missing poster of the security guard that was killed in the beginning of the movie. This is something pretty subtle that you might not notice on first watch, but it's pretty cool once you notice it. Like I said, in the beginning, the town looked so nice, but the layers slowly get peeled back. On the surface, it looks like a great vacation spot. The reality is, it's the murder capital of the world, and seems to have a problem with people going missing. I wonder what could be causing that.
I'll do it.
What's your name?
Michael has been chasing after Star trying to talk to her. This is how he meets David, the leader of the Lost Boys. This is Michael's first run-in with the vampires, although he doesn't know they're vampires yet. He is talking to Star and David sees him about to go on a motorcycle ride. When David pulls up, he just smiles at Michael. He asks Michael if he knows where Hudson's Point is, over the bluff. Michael replies, "I can't beat your bike." We know Michael and his family don't have a lot of money, so David's bike is probably a lot more expensive and faster than Michael's. David says, "You don't have to beat me, just try to keep up." They all take off on their bikes down the beach toward Hudson's Point. One of my favorite scenes. The group is speeding towards the bluff. It's very foggy, so Michael's having a hard time trying to see. David and the others begin taunting Michael, saying, "Come on, Michael." He's trying so hard to keep up that he almost drives off the edge of a cliff. A joke that Michael doesn't appreciate. He punches David in the face and demands that he fight him one-on-one for almost killing him. But David barely reacts, only asking, "How far are you willing to go, Michael?" Kiefer Sutherland is so good in this role. He was supposed to return in the second movie, but it never ended up happening. David brings Michael to their secret hangout spot, which is my favorite location in the movie. David says that it was the nicest hotel in Santa Carla about 85 years ago, but it was built on a fault. And in 1906, when the earthquake hit San Francisco, the ground opened up and this place took a header right into the crack. And now, it's theirs. David seems to know a lot of history about this hotel, almost like he was there. I think it's likely that David and maybe some of the other vampires have been living in Santa Carla for at least 85 years, and possibly frequented the hotel when it was in operation. This place is sometimes referred to on forums in different places as the Atlantis Hotel. Meanwhile, back at home, Sam is finally reading the vampire comic, and being very creeped out by his grandpa's taxidermy. While in the Sunken Hotel, David tells him to get some food for them to eat. It's Chinese food. Michael is given a box of rice. He starts eating, and David says, "How are those maggots?" "You're eating maggots, Michael. How do they taste?" Michael is confused, but when he looks down at his rice, it's now maggots. He spits it out on the ground, and the group starts laughing. When Michael looks back, it's just rice again. David says, "Sorry about that. No hard feelings." He then offers some noodles, and when Michael looks at them, it's worms. Michael's grossed out and says, "Worms." But David quickly sifts through the box and says, "Worms." He begins to eat them and Michael says, "No, don't." But to his surprise, they're just noodles again. Star finally says that's enough. She's probably seen them do this many times. I don't think David was actually transforming the food into worms or maggots. I think he was just making Michael see those things like an illusion. So these vampires do have supernatural abilities. like making people see things that aren't there. Stronger vampires might possess other abilities like compulsion or outright mind control.
Appetizer.
While there, we see a child that has been newly turned living in the hotel. This is the kid from one of the missing posters, or missing milk carton. Star is seen protecting him and treating him like a younger brother. If you're interested, I found you can actually buy a replica of this milk carton on Etsy. David brings out a special, ornate-looking bottle. He takes a drink, and when he does, it seems to affect him. We can also see the liquid in the bottle is red. He says, "Drink some of this, Michael. Be one of us." Michael probably assumes it's some kind of alcohol. The boys begin to chant, "Michael, Michael." He's holding the bottle now, and Star tells him it's blood. But Michael doesn't believe her and says, "Yeah, right." He lifts the bottle and drinks. What he just drank was blood from the head vampire. He just unknowingly started his turning process. As soon as he drinks the blood, he starts to act differently, like the blood is making him drunk. After drinking the blood, they all get on their motorbikes and drive to a train bridge. As soon as they get there, Michael questions them. What are they doing there? The boys begin to walk over to the edge of the bridge and jump off, one by one. Michael looks down and sees they're hanging from the edge. This is my favorite cover for the movie. Michael finally jumps down. While there, a train starts to cross the bridge, causing it to shake violently, and Michael can barely hold on. Everyone else is just laughing. One by one, the vampires start to let go, disappearing into the fog. David says, "You're one of us now, Michael. Let go." Michael holds on for dear life, yelling for David. He starts to hear David's voice in his head, saying Michael. Finally, the train is gone, and Michael can hear everyone yelling from down below. But how are they alive? He holds on as long as he can until his fingers slip and he plummets into the fog. The fog seems to be endless, and we never actually see him hit the ground. After falling into the fog, the next time we see him, he's in his bed at home. Apparently, Michael's been staying up all night, sleeping all day, wearing his sunglasses inside, and has developed quite an attitude. From what his brother says, it sounds like he's been home at least a couple days, and spent most of that time sleeping. That night, Michael stays home to watch his brother. His mother has a date with Max, the guy who owns the video store. While Michael's watching his brother, the house is surrounded by the other vampires on their motorcycles. When the vampires arrive, there's a large gust of wind, so they might have some control over the elements. Michael can also hear David's voice in his head again, but they disappear from outside. Michael enters the kitchen and tries to drink some milk. Before he can, he gets a sharp pain in his stomach. A second later, it seems like something has taken over him and he tries to attack his brother. This must be Michael's vampire thirst taking over. I wonder if it was spurred on by the vampires showing up. Lucky for Sam, his dog Nanook attacks Michael and makes him snap out of it. Sam comes out to see what's going on and sees that Michael's hand is covered in blood. He says, "What did you do to my dog?" But Michael says nothing. He was protecting you. That's when Sam sees his brother's reflection in the mirror, or lack thereof. His reflection is like a ghost. This is because he's not a full vampire yet. We learn later that right now, he's just a half vampire. Once you are a full vampire, you have no reflection. Sam has been reading the comic book that he got from the Frog Brothers, so he knows exactly what's going on. He says, "You're a creature of the night." Sam runs to his room to call the Frog Brothers. I never thought of this before, but is the Gecko Brothers in From Dusk Till Dawn some kind of joke about the Frog Brothers? Maybe, but I couldn't find anything about it. Anyway, Sam explains that he thinks his brother is a vampire, and they confirm it.
He's a vampire, all right.
All right, here's what you do.
They tell Sam to drive a stake through his brother's heart, but he obviously doesn't want to do that and needs to find another way. Michael then starts to float all over the house, unable to control himself. This must be because he's a new vampire and doesn't know how to control his abilities yet. He's lucky this didn't happen in Willy Wonka's factory, because that guy installs death blades in the ceiling. Michael almost floats away, but Sam decides to help his brother and open the window. Michael apologizes to Sam and says he will figure this out, just don't tell Mom. That night when Sam goes to sleep, he wants to sleep in his mom's bed and is covered in garlic cloves. I'm guessing he wants to sleep in there to make sure that she's safe. Lucy had to leave her date with Max early to come check on Sam, and we see him walking home alone in the dark. While walking, he hears some strange noises. Then the lights go out all around him, In the distance, we hear motorcycles and see their headlights. It's not looking good for Max. After almost attacking his brother, Michael goes back to the Sunken Hotel to look for answers and finds Star. He says, "What's happening to me?" But Star only tells him, "I don't know how to help you." The two start to kiss and then spend the night together. I think Star was sent here by David to help lure Michael into the group. We then see another point of view shot, flying into the cave. This must be the other vampires returning to the cave right before sunrise. The next day, when Michael wakes up, he notices the cut on his hand is completely healed.
Looks like I wasn't the only one got lucky last night, huh?
Sam goes with his mother to deliver a present to Max after she had to leave their date early. When she approaches the house and goes inside the gate, the dog almost breaks through the fence trying to attack her. They leave right away, and Sam goes to speak with the Frog Brothers. He tells them that he thinks he figured out who the head vampire is. In the comic Vampires Everywhere, the head vampire uses something called Hounds of Hell to protect their resting place. The comic describes them as dogs, a daytime guardian to watch over them while they rest. After reading the comic, Sam is pretty sure that his brother is only a half vampire. If they can kill the head vampire before Michael makes his first kill, he can be saved. The Frog Brothers say they know vampires exist, but they think ghouls and werewolves occupy high positions in the city council. They might be reaching with that one. Sam's mother is having Max over for dinner, and their plan is to test if he's a vampire during dinner. He only steps inside after being invited.
And I'm not coming in until you invite me.
You're invited.
They replace the cheese with garlic. That doesn't work. They spill holy water on him, and that doesn't work either. Last, they turn off the lights, pretending the breaker went out. The kids say he's not glowing. I guess in the comic, the head vampire glows in the dark. Lastly, they hold up a mirror to see if he has a reflection. And he does. I guess Max isn't a vampire after all. They still need to find him. Michael is out looking for Star, but David finds him first. He says if you want to see Star again, you need to come with us now. They bring Michael to the beach, where some people are drinking and partying. David says, "Michael, come here. You're not going to want to miss this. Initiation's over, Michael. Time to join the club." This is the first time they reveal themselves to Michael in their vampire form.
It's time to join the club.
They have glowing reddish eyes and two large fangs. Their face also looks slightly more monstrous. The vampires fly over and kill all the people on the beach. Seeing all the blood, Michael begins to show his own vampire form as well. David says, "Now you know what we are. Now you know what you are. You'll never grow old, Michael. You'll never die. But you have to feed." Michael's distraught and goes home to ask his brother for help, but Sam is afraid that he will kill him. While the brothers are talking, Star arrives. Michael tells Sam to lock the window, but before he can, Star teleports into the room. She reveals that she is a half vampire, and so is Michael. You don't become a full vampire until you make your first kill. Michael was actually supposed to be Star's first kill, but she couldn't do it. She wants Michael's help. Save her and the child from David. Star did say something interesting about half vampires. She said the longer she waits, the worse her thirst gets. Before they can say anything else, she disappears. Sam says he has connections and calls the Frog Brothers. They arrive in their full vampire killing attire. Everyone gets in Grandpa's car and they drive to the bluff. The vampires will be sleeping during the day and they can surprise them. Michael warns Sam that he won't be able to protect him down there because he is weak. Half vampires must be weaker during the day. They go into the Sunken Hotel and find a sleeping Star. The Frog Brothers and Sam continue deeper and find the other vampires hanging from the ceiling. Sam says, "I thought they were supposed to sleep in coffins." Edgar says, "That's what this whole place is, a giant coffin." They stake the first vampire and he starts screaming and a strange liquid sprays all over. This wakes up the other vampires and they are chased to the entrance of the cave. When David reaches his hand out of the cave, it instantly catches fire. They all get away and bring Star back to their house. They have 2.5 hours to come up with a plan. That's when the sun goes down and the vampires will be looking for them. Sam tries to warn his mother, but she obviously doesn't believe him. They quickly stop by the church to grab some holy water. Once everyone is back at the house, they begin fortifying, closing all the windows, starting a fire so they can't come down the fireplace, and filling the bathtub with holy water, and some garlic as well. I never noticed before, but these vampires have gnarly feet. David and the remaining vampires wake up and take their bat form, flying straight to Michael's house. The dog Anouk knew that Michael was a vampire, and when the vampires get close to the house, the dog begins to freak out. The dog runs and gets caught on the fence, forcing them to leave the house and save the dog. Of course, just as they free the dog, the vampires are flying in. They make it back to the house just in time.
Take them upstairs!
That was a close one, but before they even get upstairs, the first vampire flies through the fireplace. I guess starting that fire didn't matter. The vampire tries to corner the Frog brothers, making them run into the bathroom. That's where they have the bathtub full of garlic and holy water. The vampire sees it and laughs. He says garlic doesn't work, boys. I guess that means the garlic necklace that Sam had earlier was useless. Edgar says try holy water, death breath, and splashes him with the water, burning his face. This only wounds him though, and the brothers are in trouble. Just in time, Anouk comes running in and knocks the vampire into the tub. This causes him to completely melt, Breaking Bad style. Then all the blood begins to erupt from the sinks. That's 2 vampires down, 2 to go. The next vampire tries to attack Sam and Michael. Michael's knocked unconscious, and it's up to Sam. He shoots the vampire in the face with holy water, buying him some time. He grabs a bow and arrow, and as the vampire leaps at him, he lets the arrow go. The vampire drops to the ground and appears to be dead. However, he quickly gets up.
You missed, sucker!
He missed the vampire's heart. Sam shoots a second arrow, and it goes through the vampire and into the stereo, electrocuting him to death. Sam even acknowledges how weird this kill is.
Death by stereo.
Finally, it's Michael versus the head vampire, David. Michael is becoming very strong for a half vampire, but David has been a vampire for a very long time and knows how to use all his abilities. He pins Michael and says, "Join us. I don't want to kill you. My blood is in your veins." This is when Michael says, "So is mine," and pushes David into the wall of antlers and horns, impaling him through the heart. I love when they play the music again at just the right time. I just recently covered Salem's Lot, and someone in that movie is also killed with a wall of antlers and horns. Now that David's dead, everything is over. Except, it's not. Michael's still a half vampire, and Star agrees. She doesn't feel any different. There must be one more. Just in time, his mother arrives home with Max after their date. She is obviously quite mad the entire house is destroyed. Max, however, walks straight over to David to see if he's alive. Suddenly, Max begins to apologize. He says David and my boys misbehaved. He reveals that it was Lucy that he wanted all along. He knew if he could get Sam and Michael in the family, that she would be sure to join. Her boys and his boys.
The blood-sucking Brady Bunch!
But I still want you, Lucy.
So Sam was right. Max really was the head vampire the whole time. The secret that David was keeping, according to Star. I guess David saying my blood is in your veins was a lie? Or maybe he's referring to the fact that he also has Max's blood in his veins? I'm almost positive that it's Max's blood in the bottle, because David drinks it too. Also, since Star said that Max's identity was a secret, it's possible that David was the only one who knew the head vampire's true identity. The big question is, how did Max pass all those tests? Well, it turns out, it's not because he's a head vampire. That doesn't make him special. Max says when you invite a vampire into your home, it makes you powerless. This grants them certain immunities. Holy water didn't work, and he had a reflection. This means vampires don't need an invitation to enter a home. I mean, all the other vampires entered their house no problem. But having an invitation makes them stronger. I never really put that together on previous watch-throughs, but it's an interesting spin on the invitation thing. Michael does his best Batman impression and tells Max to leave.
I didn't invite you this time, Max.
The final fight begins, and we see that Max is much stronger than the other vampires. Most likely because he's much older. He throws Michael through the air, knocking him unconscious with ease. They stand no chance against Max. Having no choice, Lucy gives herself over to him, to be turned. He bites her neck and, oh wait, Grandpa comes flying through the wall with a couple super spikes attached to the front of his vehicle. Michael pushes Max just as the car comes through the wall. One flies off and impales Max, sending him flying into the fireplace. He explodes in a large ball of flame, causing the house to shake and a large puff of black smoke. There's also some growling coming from within the smoke. Finally, the real head vampire is destroyed. Michael, Star, and the child are all turned back into humans. It's a good thing that Sam wandered into that comic book store and met the Frog Brothers. Everyone is celebrating that they're still alive, and Grandpa walks straight to the fridge for a beer. Lucy asks him if everything is alright, and he says, "One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires." I love the look on their faces. They're like, "You seriously let us move here knowing there's vampires?" This is hinted at throughout the movie. First, Grandpa said there's bad elements around. Then he said he doesn't like going into town. We also see him putting up a spiked fence around his property. He must have had a run-in with the vampires in the past. The movie ends with another great song. Now let's take some time to talk about the vampires from Lost Boys. First, they are immortal and cannot be killed by regular means. David says you will never grow old and you will never die, but you must feed. So if a vampire didn't feed for a long time, they might be easier to kill. Vampires' biggest weakness is sunlight. When a vampire is exposed to daylight, they burst into flames instantly. Full body exposure would probably kill them pretty quickly. They are also weak to stakes through the heart, holy water, and although in the movie the Frog Brothers thought they would be weak to garlic, the vampire confirms they are not. Vampires are also not seen being harmed by crosses, which is weird considering holy water works. Vampires can enter a home without invitation. However, like I said before, if they are invited inside, they will have immunity to their weaknesses.
And I'm not coming in until you invite me.
You're invited.
As the Frog Brothers say in the movie, no two bloodsuckers go out the same way. Some go out screaming, some go out quietly. Some implode, some explode, but they all try to take you with them. We see this on display throughout the movie. Each vampire that is killed has a different reaction. The vampires can hide their vampiric appearance when they want to blend in with society, but can also appear very monstrous. They have the ability to fly, or maybe more accurately, float. They can become weightless and hover in the air. It also seems they can take the form of a bat. We never actually see their bat form, but we get to see these first-person flying scenes with bat noises, so it's implied that they are taking the form of bats. They have great strength and speed. Their abilities seem to vary a bit from vampire to vampire, but some are seen being able to move so fast it resembles teleportation. Star was on the ground and was able to instantly appear in the window. It could very well be teleportation, but I think it's just them moving very fast. They are also seen being able to rip a door off a car and pick people up with ease. These vampires do have some mental abilities. When Michael's turning into a vampire, you can hear David's voice in his head, like some kind of telepathy. They also made the food appear like it was worms and maggots. Vampires also have at least some control over electricity. Everyone in the movie who turned into a vampire was turned by drinking blood. Most likely it belonged to Max. That means these vampires cannot turn someone with a bite. They only bite people to feed. In order for someone to become a half vampire, they must drink vampire blood. Then, to complete the transformation, you have to make your first kill and feed. Half vampires can be turned human again if the head vampire is killed. Once the transformation is complete, there is no cure. Unlike full vampires, half vampires have a translucent reflection in mirrors. They also don't burst into flames when exposed to the sun, but they still tend to avoid it. It must still cause some form of discomfort, which is why we always see Michael wearing his sunglasses and sleeping all day. Michael also appeared to be weaker during the day. Half vampires are seen having the same abilities that full vampires have, even becoming more monstrous in appearance when enraged. Michael can fly just like David, and Star is seen moving almost instantly into the window. There doesn't seem to be much difference in strength between a half vampire and a full vampire. When someone starts becoming a vampire, the thirst for blood becomes almost unbearable and causes Michael to try to attack his own brother. The fact that Star has been able to not feed and was a half vampire for probably much longer than Michael is surprising. As I said, when Michael walks in front of a mirror, he appears translucent, almost like a ghost. A full vampire doesn't appear in mirrors at all. However, they will appear in mirrors if they've been invited in. I want to talk about the head vampire, Max, aka the owner of the video store. He is the leader of the vampires of Santa Carla. Although he is the leader, he prefers to rule in secret, letting David be the leader as far as anyone is concerned. Max is physically stronger than the other vampires and is probably much older, possibly by hundreds of years. Apparently the movie was supposed to feature a centuries-old painting of Max hanging in the Sunken Hotel. I can't remember where I read this, but it was something like they didn't have the budget to finish the painting or enough time. They might have just decided it wouldn't look good though. Sam found a vampire comic that said that head vampires will use hellhounds to guard them while they sleep. Max has a dog that is almost always with him, and when Sam and his mom try to go to Max's house in the daytime, the dog tries to attack them. It's kind of strange that Max has a dog when you think about it, because dogs seem to hate vampires. The fact that Max owns a dog leads me to believe it's no ordinary dog. That's my video on The Lost Boys. This is a movie almost anyone can enjoy. It has a little something for everyone. The movie was inspired by Peter Pan, which is why the Lost Boys of Neverland have some similarities with the Lost Boys of Santa Carla. Boys without a mother, that don't age, and don't want to grow up. At the end of the film, Max even says, boys need a mother. That's why he was trying to turn Lucy. There's actually 3 Lost Boys movies. The original, Lost Boys The Tribe from 2008, and Lost Boys The Thirst from 2010. The 2008 film still features the original Sam, plus the Frog Brothers, but the third film only has the Frog Brothers. It's kinda strange that the Frog Brothers became the main characters in the series. If there's any other movies or TV shows you want me to cover, please leave them in the comments down below. I always read through them. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't. It helps out a lot and I really appreciate it. Help me on my journey to 200k. As always, an extra big thanks to all my members for supporting the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.